Hello everybody, my name is Blaine Elizabeth and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I like to talk about addiction, recovery, really just like to share topics that I'm interested in. Last year, I started telling my addiction story. So I'm gonna get back into that. The part that I left off at was I had just dropped dirty, what us in the recovery community call it when you test positive for a substance on a drug test. I was using opioids and benzos. I was going into a long-term treatment center. When I was going into this treatment center, they told me that it was a 6-month to 12-month program. And I was like, you know, I'll go there for 30 days. Maybe 60 days, and then I'll get out and, you know, I'll be fixed, I'll be better. Little did I know that I would spend the next 12 months in that treatment center and working really hard to change my life. I knew that something was wrong with me. I knew that I had a severe substance abuse problem, but I didn't know how the fuck to fix myself. I was ruining my family's life. I was ruining my life. I was really affecting my mom's life. And I had 2 little siblings and I needed to pluck myself out of their life. Told me I could only have 7 days of clothing, so anything else they sent back with my family member. My cousin is the one that took me to this treatment center because my mom would not wake up. And I was really disappointed about that. That really hurt my feelings. But that's the nature of the disease. We disappoint people when we're in our active use. And that day that I was going to treatment, my mom disappointed me. This was a full year of my life, and I'm just gonna tell you a couple of key takeaways. One of the lessons was, who are you in the dark? And this was really an important lesson for me to learn because my mom taught me that you can be whoever you want in the dark as long as you put on a good show in the light. Little did I know, you actually have to be honest to like grow in recovery and to flourish. So here I was in this long-term treatment center. They allowed me to detox. They did not provide any medication at that time. I was given about 3 to 5 days to lay in my room and be miserable. It fucking sucks. It's terrible. You feel like you have the worst cold of your life. They did provide me with Vernors and chocolate to kind of take the edge off. We had to do groups every day, 5 groups a day, and then you would move up in their level system. The big takeaway that I got from this treatment center was, who are you in the dark? I had to like be in charge of things, like giving the other girls headbands and toilet paper and lotion and body soap, like all the things in the house that we needed. We had like keys to the closet, and I was really forced to take a look at, what am I gonna do when nobody's looking? I learned how to be honest. I learned that in order to heal and in order to grow, I have to tell the truth. And I'll tell you how I learned that lesson. It was a hard one. Me and my other peer, we would leave to go house shopping, and we would get the house supplies, all the things we needed, as well as the house food. What we were also doing was going to visit our boyfriends. I talked about Roscoe in my last 2 addiction story videos. He was not doing well. He was still drinking and doing his own damn thing, but you know, I was locked up in a treatment facility and I wanted to have sex. So she would drop me off there. She would go over to her boyfriend's. We'd do it really quick, and then she'd come pick me back up. We'd go house shopping and we'd go back to the house like nothing ever happened. One time we had this group. It was called a Clean Your Slate group, where everyone was telling the truth. And it was the most bizarre shit I had ever encountered. People were like, oh, I gave so-and-so a cigarette, or I let so-and-so use the phone when they weren't at the right level. And it was just like, what the fuck is going on? Does this mean I have to be honest too? And like, I could just feel this knot in my stomach, like bubbling up. And I was like, oh God, don't do it, Blaine, don't do it. And finally I said, I have something to say. Mind you, I had been here for about 6 months, and it takes a long ass time to get to the certain levels. So I said, me and my other peer, we've been leaving and going and having sex with our boyfriends when we do house shopping. And they're like, okay, thank you for sharing that. Can you give me your keys? So I had to go turn in my level keys. The other girl that was doing it with me, she got up and left the group. and left the treatment center. She was there for a long fucking time and put in a lot of hard work. And so I felt guilty, like kind of like I ruined her treatment or something. But, you know, that's just how I had to learn. I had to learn how to be honest. And I'm sorry, baby girl, but I can't hold your secrets anymore. Yeah, that was like a profound moment for me because I felt like 300 bricks just got lifted off my chest. I could breathe again. I was like, whoa, what's that feeling? Like, oh my God, I can be honest? Blaine can be honest? This is weird. So I continued on, and eventually there was another Clean Your Slate group, and I was still at that same, well, I had to go back through the program. So I had to go start back at square zero and go back through all these different levels to get like where I was. Then there was another Clean Your Slate group, and I was getting level busted again for smoking cigarettes that weren't mine, so it's stealing. I had had enough. I was over it at that point. I was like, you can have your levels because I'm leaving. In the grand scheme of things, it wasn't the greatest idea, but you know, that's just life. Sometimes we make mistakes, we make bad judgment calls, and we can reflect on it later and be like, yeah, that was an interesting choice. So my mom picked me up from that treatment center, and she had a Mike and Ike box full of Xanax. Okay, so where was I? So my mom picked me up with a Mike and Ike box full of Xanax. I was wanting heroin. Honestly, I was like, sure, I'll take a couple of these, but let's go get some heroin, please. And she had a check that she had to cash, and it was the middle of the night, so we ended up going to some party store and like paying them like a portion of the check for them to cash it. My mom used to do this thing where she would go to the grocery store and like write them a check, or a party store or whatever, and write them a check and then buy like a pack of cigarettes but get cash back. So it's like a weird form of cash back without a debit card. I don't know. That's just what she did. So my mom picked me up. We went back home. Immediately my mom was like, you can't live here anymore. She set a boundary with me. So I ended up moving in with my grandma. Eventually I ended up using at my grandma's house. That's when that whole pizza guy thing happened from the previous video, where I ended up meeting the pizza guy and doing dope with him, and then I got high, and my grandma's like, did you get high last night? And I was like, yes, I did. And she's like, you have to leave. And I remember being at NA and getting a meeting list, and there was phone numbers on it. So I called some random people from the meeting list, and I'm like, yo, I'm getting kicked out of my grandma's house. I got nowhere to go. What can I do? One of the ladies, she gave me the phone number to a place called the Emma's house. And I was like, okay, I will try it. So I used a couple of more times. I think I end up going to Pathways, which is another detox facility, and I did 5 days at Pathways, and then I went into the Emma's house. The Emma's house is a place for women that are coming out of jail, prison, or rehab. So I ended up going there and just trying to get my life together. I ended up lasting about 3 months before I relapsed. They gave me another chance, sent me to another treatment center. I ended up going to Brighton. I ended up getting this tattoo in some random guy's basement for $5. So when I got back from Brighton, I wasn't ready to be clean and sober, and I ended up relapsing again. I just kept cycling in and out of treatment centers, and it's because I wasn't ready. I was not ready to get sober, but I didn't have a place where I could just go and use because I didn't have a job to support myself. What I ended up doing when I was living at Amaya's house was downloading the Craigslist app and doing sex work again so that I could pay for drugs. I remember my house manager inquiring about how I had money, because I would bribe her with gas money. I'd be like, oh, I can give you $5 or I can give you $10, basically so that she wouldn't ask too many questions. I would tell her I was going to a meeting, and I would have these guys pick me up and take me to a meeting, but really I was going to have sex with them. The third time that I finally relapsed at Amaya's house, the social worker came over to my house and she talked to me. And she was like, Blaine, are you using? We think that you're using. And I was like, no, I swear to God, I'm not using. And then she busted out a drug test and I was like, nope, still not using. And I went in the bathroom and I peed in the cup, and of course it reflected that I had drugs in my system. So she's like, I'm sorry, but I have to take you somewhere. And she ended up dropping me off at my friend's apartment. And I texted them and I was like, yo, I'm getting kicked out of Amaya's house. Can I come and live with you guys? And they were like, yeah, sure. We have an extra bedroom. And I was like, cool. I'm a sex worker, so I can buy dope every day if you allow me to trick in your house. Oh my gosh, this sounds so crazy, but like that was our relationship, is I would trick and get the money to buy dope and they would go get the dope, and that's how we lived for the next couple of months. I have some of the best memories in those places, and I have some of the worst, sad and sick memories. There's this feeling that you get when you're like dope sick and like you have nobody to comfort you and you're just alone, and you know you did it to yourself, and it's just like this very sad, sick and lonely feeling. I think it's called desperation. That was in 2013, and I think I'm going to end this video there because we got through a lot. Thank you so much for sticking around and listening to my story. I will eventually get to the end of this goddamn story, but it's emotionally taxing to kind of recall this stuff. So I appreciate you guys being patient with me while I get through the rest of it. And also I'm having a baby March 30th, so, you know, just gotta roll with the punches. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I really hope that you'll like this video, turn on that notification bell, and hit the subscribe button. Oh, and after you hit subscribe, go and comment, I subscribed, so that I know that you did, and I will comment back to you. I'm just trying to grow my YouTube community. I have procrastinated making this video for like the last 6 months or so. Yeah, so thank you for being patient with me as I retell my addiction story, because it can be emotionally draining, it can be emotionally taxing, and it's depressing a little bit, you know? Like, sure, I'm in a good spot in my life now, and like I feel comfortable sharing my story, but it doesn't make it easy. Thank you so much for sticking around and listening to what I have to say. I hope that my story can help inspire some of you to get clean and sober, whatever that means for you. There's no wrong way to recover. And I hope that my story can inspire some of you to maybe be a little kinder to people or to family members when they're struggling, even though I know it can be a bitch. It can be a bitch. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them down below, and I am really good at responding to comments, actually. Bye!